Hey guys, Ravenclaw here, back with another guide, and today's guide is going to be on how to create macros. Different types of macros for different types of things. Okay, so firstly, this was actually requested by one of my subscribers, and here is the comment right here. Now, I will not only just go over what I use, as I think Duan, do you pronounce your name Duan? Sorry if I've pronounced that wrong. They say, nice vid, please can you do a video showing your macros? Now, I'll do that, but I won't just show you my macros. I'll go over how to create macros in general, so that way you can, customize them, create your own macros in the future. You're not restricted to just the ones that I use. Now, let's have a quick talk about what a macro is. Now, a macro is just a small snippet of code, really. You're actually writing code, and it allows multiple actions to be executed all at once. Now, you might have seen in my hunter guide, showed you a quick overview of my macros, and it talked about how to set a focus or set a target, and sack one of your team players and things like that. So I thought, how about today we go over the basics, so you get a sort of an understanding on how it all works, and then I'll do an advanced guide on how to run script in macros, how to do more advanced, harder macros, how to link multiple conditions, things like that. That way you can, start really rocking hard in arenas and PvP or even PvE. You might have a raid that you like to do, and your raid leader says, now I need you to focus that target over there, but then I want you to switch, blah, blah, blah. I would have no idea because I've never been in a raid. But, alright. So, let's start off with something simple. Okay, so what do you need to do inside a macro? So I thought instead of being in-game, because the comment requested a larger screen, so instead of going in-game and then editing it to zoom right in and be all glitchy and yuck, I thought, let's just go into a text editor. It'd be nice and big on the screen. I might even make the font a little bit bigger. Let's go to 24. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, so hopefully you guys can see that all right. And I'll type it in here, and then it's just a matter of copy and paste into the game. And once we're finished, I'll jump into the game and show you what I meant. Okay, so all macros and all the lines in macros must use a / to start the line, okay? Now, here's some of the basic macros. Some of the basic macros, let's say you wanted to... Okay, here's one that you see up in chat all the time. Advertising a guild. For example, if you wanted to say something, you would simply, in the chat line, you would type /s or /y or whatever it may be. You might want to go into trade. Yeah, the tda. You wanted to go, but for argument's sake, let's just say you wanted to say something, okay? So you type /s, this is in your macro screen, okay? Your /s space, and then type whatever you want. Say, hello world, and then that's it. Now, if you wanted to say multiple things, you have to separate it by a line. So you maybe want to yell something afterwards. I'm back. And then you would save that, and then once you click the button that you've assigned the macro to, it'll say that and then yell that afterwards. Okay? And that's just to give you a quick idea of why would we use a macro? Just to do things without, just a shortcut to doing multiple things all at once. So instead of having 3 action bars spots filled up for 3 different things, you can macro all into one, and out you go. Okay, so they're saying to me, Raven, okay, that's all cool, but I don't really want to talk to people. I'm here to kill them. And I'm with you, alright? So, okay, next part. What do we want? How do we use abilities? How can we use them? So what we want to do first, you might have seen in my macros, at the very top, you'll see me type show tooltip or show. Okay, so show tooltip or show allows so when you've signed up a macro, right, and you see the little icons you can choose, I will go over this in game. You'll see that little question mark. So for the icon, you click the question mark if you want the actual icon of the spell to come up, and then you'll type in your name in the macro and press OK. So what you want to do is you want to go hashtag show, and what that'll do, show will show you the icon of the ability that you've chosen, okay? Or if you go show tooltip, okay, then you can, after this you have an option. You can type in an ability, so we can say counter shot. Now it has to be spelt exactly the way it's written on the spell, otherwise it won't work. Okay, this code must run the exact name, that the identifier of the spell. Okay, so now what I've told it to do, show the tooltip of countershot, and what show tooltip will allow the actual information of the spell to show up when you hover over your macro. Okay, so for example, so that's good to have above your macros if you're looking for a certain ability. Okay, so underneath, now we get to the part where we want to actually use the ability. So if we go /cast, okay, now that's saying use a certain ability. I've had people think of it as in channeling a spell, okay, for let's say a mage and their arcane bolts or whatever they are. You know, so it's not channeling, it's actually using an ability. Okay, so we'll go, you know, that, and we'll type in arcane shot. Whoops, sorry. Okay, so now that'll say show the tooltip for counter shot and then cast arcane shot. All right, and that's as basic as it gets. Okay, so what that'll do, now you wouldn't make a macro just for this one thing because that's kind of pointless. But let's say, for example, you wanted to cast arcane shot, but you want to yell at the target as well. So underneath that, you'll go / got ya. Okay, so you will not only will you cast your arcane shot, you'll also yell afterwards. Okay, so you want to make macros that do multiple things. Never write a macro just to do, okay, let me clarify that. Before I say never use a macro to do one thing, don't use a macro to just use one ability. It's pointless. Okay, you can use a macro to use one action in the sense of, you know, yelling out gotcha by itself, or, you know, using an item or something and so forth. Okay, now, okay, so once we got past what cast does, let's talk about, okay, what about, I've seen a lot of people talk about burst macros. Now, what a burst macro is, that's utilizing the macro to its, you know, fullest ability, as it were. So let's think of, okay, so we'll show the tooltip. If you don't put an identifier here, so the spell name, it'll actually pick the first spell that comes up. Okay, now when I say the first spell, let's say you're doing a cast sequence, okay, which I'll get into in a sec. Cast sequence, it'll show the spell that's active. So let's say you've done counter shot, then you've gone on to cobra shot. It'll show the spell that's active. So what I'm saying is, if you don't give it an identifier, it'll just pick one that's active. Okay, so moving on to what I just said and talking about a cast sequence. Okay, so a cast sequence is as it says. So it'll allow you to just press one button to do multiple abilities. Not multiple abilities at once, multiple abilities one after each other. Okay, so for example, let's say we wanted to, okay, so we'll write it out first. Okay, so you need to type it as cast, sequence, cast sequence in one word. Okay, then we need to put a space. Now between, so let me just talk it out. So you got, first you need to identify the snippet of code you want to, I would like to call it methods because I'm all object oriented, but this is a scripting language. So what we want to do is we want to go cast sequence, then in the next, after space, the next argument you can have is you can have a reset, or you can add like modifiers or anything else. But to keep it simple, right, we're going to apply a reset to it. Now what a reset does is when, let's say you're a healer, okay, and you're doing a cast sequence for healing, okay, and my shaman would go, all right, healing rain, then healing surge, then blah blah. But let's say he got interrupted between the rotation and he had to do a dispel or, you know, break out of a CC, and instead of being stuck on the first ability in the sequence, you put a reset there to say reset back after a couple of seconds. So that way you're not stuck in the second of the list. So this way you can identify it. Now these are in milliseconds, so you can go, so not milliseconds, they're in seconds. Yeah, I'm thinking of something else. So let's say after 2 seconds, reset, or after 5 seconds. You can also put on there after a certain target switch. So if you change target, it'll reset on that condition. Okay, so let's just leave that as 2. Okay, and now the third argument is the actual sequence itself. So if we go arcane shot, as you can tell, this is based around my hunters, because obviously I'm a hunter. But this, the concepts of all these macros can be applied to any class. Okay, so then to separate your abilities, you must use a comma with a space. Then we'll type, I don't know, cobra shot, then whatever, then space, then something, then space. Then you get the idea, okay? And that's how it works. All right, so arcane shot, as long as you separate them, okay? So you have the identifier of what method you want to use, or whatever they call it. Then the second argument is the reset. This is for this particular one I'm showing you now. You can have other arguments. You can have like modifiers. So if you hold shift and we'll get into modifiers in a sec. Hold shift, then that, and that, and that, and that, and so on and so forth. Okay, but that's how to create a cast sequence, and that's how why you would use them. Okay, so going on to what I was talking about, the burst. So if we go back, okay, now that's talking about using abilities one after another. But with a burst, you don't want that to happen. You want the burst to all use everything in one go. Okay, so to use multiple abilities at once, you just simply put one cast after another. Okay, so you might go cast Bestial Wrath, cast whatever, then you'll go whatever else you want to add into there, cast Murder of Crows, and so on and so forth. But you get the idea. Okay, cast, cast, cast. Now, another argument is, let's say you've got your burst trinket you want to put into your burst macro. So how do you do that? Now, because it's an item, we'll just simply use the use. Okay, now this is saying in your code, it's saying we are now looking to use an item's ability, or so on and so forth. You might have on your gloves, you know, say on your gloves that you have, I don't know, let's just make something up here. You have like an ice maneuver or something like that. I know in the belt and the boots, I believe, engineers can use their goblin glider and stuff like that. So you will then put in that item and it will use it once it goes down. Now, here's something to remember, guys. The way that the, I keep wanting to say compiled, but yeah, I suppose it is compiled in a sense, but the way it runs, okay, let's just say the way the macros run is from top to bottom, left to right. Okay, the same with coding, all right? Because essentially this is coding, all right? So it'll go from here, and now it'll have to, once it evaluates to true, it'll move on. True, 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 true. So obviously these are all true because they're all there. But if it doesn't, if it's not typed right and that specific line runs false, it won't work. Okay. Now, if you're using multiple arguments and conditions and stuff like that, let's say you want to do an if statement in there and you have multiple conditions to be met, and one of them equates to true, then it will stop because we found the one that you would write that you wanted first. And anyway, so moving on to the use argument here. So I like to make my code dynamic. And you're saying, what do you mean by that? And I will tell you. So dynamic code means you don't want to restrict it to one thing. Let me give you an example here. When you open up your character screen, you'll notice that everything is in a slot. Okay. Now within that slot, we are assigned a number. So from the top left, for our headpiece, that's slot 1. Now I've seen many people write in their code the actual name of the the item. Okay, so let's just say, what are we up to now in PvP stuff? Malevolent? No, warmongering. I think it is something like that. Anyway, instead of typing the name of the item, you can simply use the slot identifier. Okay, now this makes it dynamic. Now, let's say you've just gotten an upgrade to your piece, but your macro is still written to the old headpiece. So you've got to go back into the macro every time you change a piece. You got to rename it. Ugh. And sometimes you'll forget. And then you're stuck. Let's say you're in the middle of arena and you're really pushing that rating, and you end up, why isn't my trinket going off? Why can't I use my trinket? And you end up losing. That's because you're not making dynamic code. Now, what I'm saying is, if you had, okay, for example, let's use our trinket. So in the trinket slots, you've got 13 or 14. Okay, slot 13 or 14. So if I went use 13, my burst macro, my burst trinket is in 13. Okay, so if I do that, now I'm able to swap that piece out as many times as I want, and I never have to change my macro. That's what I mean by dynamic. You can keep the one macro and just continuously change pieces, do whatever you want. Now, obviously, if you change slots, it's going to differ, but the majority of time you don't actually change a slot, you will just change the name. That's what I'm getting at. And this rings true for racial trinkets like my feral. Okay, we've got a freedom trinket. Now, if I upgrade that trinket and I've named it the other one, you can imagine how much damage that would do to me if I can't use my freedom trinket. That would be insane. But anyway, that's how to use an item. Okay, and now when I say use 13, use whatever slot that you need to use. Okay. Now you can, like I said, you can use it for all different types of bits and pieces, but only if you only need to do it if you actually have a spell ability assigned to that particular piece of gear. Otherwise, it does nothing. All right. So we've gone over how to cast. Now we've gone over to make a cast sequence. What we need to look at now is, how about we go over targeting? Yes, targeting, because that's one of the main ones that I use. See, like I said, I don't really use many macros because as a hunter, I don't really find much need to do macros, but I want to give you guys as much as you can get out of this. So targeting. Okay, what's this useful for? Targeting is very useful for setting a focus. In arena, you want to focus the healer, set a focus. Now, you say to yourself, well, why do I need a macro for that? I can just do it off Gladius if I just click on the unit frame. That's all well and good. No worries there. But here's a scenario. What say you're open the doors. You're going to focus the druid healer and go on the DPS. That's awesome. You've set your focus, you're in the battle. As soon as that guy goes into stealth, you lose your focus. And if you don't keep an eye on that, and they've gone to stealth, they come back out of thing, and you've stuffed yourself up. Unless you want to keep going on and clicking their thing, but then that raises another issue. You have to leave the focus of battle and get on to keep clicking the focus. So we want to make a macro that will counter this. So, for example, let us make a focus kick. Okay, so let's just go cast. So this is what I do. I like to make a macro that will be attached to one of my main abilities. So let's say Arcane Shot, because we always use Arcane Shot. All right, I think it's capital S. So Arcane Shot. Okay, then we want to go. We want to go focus. So this is the next argument. You can go focus. So that what this is saying now, you're saying you're wanting to set a focus. Then it's going to sort of think, all right, who do you want to set a focus to? Now, trust me, and this is, you're probably going to laugh when you hear this, but I've seen people actually put names in there at the beginning of a match. They'll try and type a name in there. Don't. Just don't do that. Dynamic, guys. We want to keep your code dynamic. So focus, you can go, now in here, there's a conditional brackets, all right? In here, These are conditions that need to be met. Okay, so if you have brackets, you're saying here's a condition. Okay, now we'll talk about different types of targets and how do you set them without having to put the names in. Okay, so for example, sorry, one second, I'm just gonna make sure that yep. Okay, so what we want to do here is we want to go focus target, right? So now you're declaring the target equals, we can say, actually, no. Let's make it even simpler. We can go focus, because if we're in an arena, okay, if we're in arena, we want to say, okay, I want a certain, either 1, 2, or 3. So when you look in your Gladius, if you're in the arena, you see a Gladius there, it'll have top, you know, say a priest, a warrior, and a enhancement shaman, whatever. But it goes in order. The first one is Arena 1, second one's Arena 2, Arena 3, and it goes from top to bottom, alright? And same with rating. Same when they're all listed up in their thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever. So you can go focus, Arena 1. Dynamic. Okay, so every time you go into an arena, it'll always focus Arena 1. So when you open up your, when you open up the doors, whatever, before you open that up, you check your arena, you look where the healer is, and you can come back into your macro, go this, oop, he's Arena 3, change Arena 3, save. Okay, this will set focus dynamically. So that way, if they do go in stealth, you're always casting Arcane Shot, it'll always set your focus for you. You don't have to worry about that anymore. You can be assured that your focus is set. Okay, and so that's the basic. It's the basic way to set a focus dynamically, I'm trying to say. Now, let's go to another one. I want to try and keep this under sort of 30 minutes for you guys so you're not sitting here bored. I will do the next part soon, like within the next day or two, so keep an eye out for that. So anyway, cast a Arcane Shot. Now, that's set our focus, all right? So we've got our focus here. So how do we then... Okay, how do we work it? Like, how do we then use that in a macro for our, say, kick? So what do we want to do, right? We want to go cast. Sorry about that, guys. I forgot to turn my phone off. So we want to go cast. So we're going to pick the spell, but we have to give it a condition to be met. So, like I said, these are conditional brackets, right? So we need to go then. We need to declare what target we need to hit. Okay? We can go target, focus. Okay? Then we can go counter shot. Oh, sorry, guys. Counter shot. Semicolon if you want to separate conditions. So you can... Now, here's how I do it. You can actually then, you can say, look, if focus is set, you use the counter shot on your focus. Otherwise, use the counter shot on your target by simply going counter shot. Okay, so this is the condition that needs to be met. If there's no focus, it'll cast it on the current target, but we don't want that. Okay, we want to cast your counter shot on the focus. Right, now the way I do it is I have 2 keybinds for this. I have one for this macro, and then just one for whoever I'm on. That's the easiest way for me, so I've separated them. You can also do something like this. You can also go at focus. Okay? Cast at focus, so saying you've already got a focus, counter shot. Simple as that, guys. Now, you might have seen me say in Arena, I've targeted my Ring of Sacrifice on my party members or myself. So then what we want to do is you want to go cast. Cast target equals party 1. Right? Party 1 is yourself, I believe. Yeah, I think it is. So you want to go party where, so like once again, you'll see your unit frames up. Whoever is on the bottom, on the top, you just have to practice with this one. Now, I know sometimes you can get messed up and you can go from right to left. So what we're getting at is how to declare it. So party 2, let's just go raw of sacrifice. Okay? So that will now cast your Aurora Sacrifice on the target that you've specified. Okay? So now let's say you wanted to target yourself. Simple as that. You just go player. That means you. Cast target on player. And then maybe you want to spirit mend. Okay? So that way you don't have to get your pet to click on you, to click on that, to da 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 da. Okay? Spirit mend. And you'll cast it, it'll target you, and use Spirit Mend. Trust me guys, use this macro. It has helped me out from actually go and watch my 3v3 arena with Nox. I think it's called Sniper Cleave. Jump in that, and there's a match sort of about 3 minutes in where this comes in handy. Trust me, I got down to 10k health in a 3v3. We ended up 2v3ing them for a bit and then winning. I got down to 10k health and came back to win the match. It's a lifesaver. Okay? Anyway, now, okay, say you want to assist someone. Let's say you're an RBG, and the RBG leader goes, all right, I'm going to be calling out healers, so I want you to target my target. Okay, boss. No weather. No weather. Remember that. That's a new word of the day. All right, so you can simply just go like this. You can go that, target, target. That's it. Target, target, counter shot. Or if you wanted to say, okay, let's target them, you can just go / target, right? That's another argument. And go target equals target, target, and just leave it like that. So you're setting a target now. So that means you have to click on your, so you've clicked on your raid leader, and then just click your macro, and then it will go to whoever they're targeting. It'll target that target. I know it's a huge mouthful to get all that out, but that's the basic way to do it. Okay. Now I can get into more advanced stuff. You can go target of target of target of target of target, and just keep bouncing around the world. But you know that's just stupid. So that's the basics for targeting. Okay. Now we've gone cast sequence, targeting. Now, like I said, I'm keeping this as basic for now, but then we're going to keep getting up and up and up into the more advanced stuff as we go. I want to break it down into different sort of sections. Now, let's talk about one more thing before we continue on, is modifiers. Now, within these brackets, modifiers are known as conditions as well, because what we're saying is we want to do something if it meets this condition. For example, if you're in a certain stance, like warriors might be in a stance, or a rogue might be in vanish or whatnot, which is classed as a stance. So what we want to do, say we want to cast our counter shot. Counter shot. Only if we are holding the shift key. Okay. Now this is great for what I was mentioning earlier. If you wanted to create your counter shot on the one key to either hit your target you're on or hit your focus, you can do something like this. What do we want to do? We want to go conditional brackets. Remember, if you say to yourself, I need to do it but hold the shift key, that's a condition. So what we want to do is we want to go to modifier. That and shift. Okay, so we're saying now we want it to only work if you hold the shift key. Okay, and you can do this for alt, control, whatever, but you can also shorten it by saying just mod. Okay, so only cast counter shot if you're holding the shift key. Now, but what you're saying to me, but what happens if I wanted to only hit my focus? If I want to, separate it from my focus on my actual target, then you need to separate the modifiers by going like this. Okay, and then going target equals focus. Oh, okay. So mod shift, right? So now it's saying while I'm holding the shift key, hit the focus target, and use counter shot. Otherwise, just use counter shot. That's it. That's how you use the mod argument. So you can go Alt, you know, I want to use that, or you can go Shift Alt while I'm holding the Shift and the Alt key together, so on and so forth. But that's the basics of modifiers. Okay, so you just tell them to do that. Hold the Shift key, that whatever modifier you've declared. Now, I will get into different, more in-depth ones, how to use heal, harm, all these other bits and pieces, but I'll use that for the next guide, next part 2. Okay, I'll give you more rundown on scripting and different types of modifiers and whatnot. This is just sort of, you know, the basis for now. And just reading off my list I wrote here earlier, so I wouldn't get all muddled up, but I actually accidentally closed the file. Sorry guys, I'll open up in 1 sec. So last, I suppose targeting is as is, like we've gone over that. If you have any questions for anything, let me know. Or if you want a specific macro done, let me know before part 2 comes out, so that way I can get it done for you. Okay, you can actually equip different armor too. I think we'll go over that in the next episode. I think that was everything I covered. Yeah, I did that. Oh, one more thing. How to stop a cast. Okay, this is important. All right. So let's say you're channeling your Cobra shot, but the healer's about to cast a heal, but you need to get that heal kicked before you can get the kill. Simply go / stop attack. Okay. Now I do it both. I do 2 here. Reason being is you'll stop your channel and stop your auto attack. Right? Then you can do cast freezing trap. Say you wanted to trap him out, or you wanted to stop and then you have your cast, you know, focus, kick, whatever there. So you go target equals focus, or at focus, whatever. Target equals focus, counter shot, blah, 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 and that. But using the stop attack. Now you can do this, you know, start attack. You know, starts attacking and does exactly what it says. Now I use this for my pet. It's great for using it for your pet to do a pet attack. So I link this with my my arcane shot. So every time I change, or let's say I've just started the match and I'm behind a pillar, I can just click my arcane shot button, and my pet will sneak in and get the opener on the you know, the healer or whatever, just to build some stacks for me before I go in. So you can just simply go / pet attack, then / cast whatever, arcane shot, and so on and so forth. Okay, and but yeah, so that's just the basics of macros, and more specific to hunters. I wouldn't say more specific to DPS. Now I can do a healer one later on, but we'll see what you guys want. But yeah, so other than that, I think we'll just quickly, let me just see how long we've been going for here. We're going for about 33. Okay, so what I think I'll do is I'll jump into WoW really quick, and we'll just go over these, you know, just the base so you can see them in action. All right, so I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so here we are in WoW, and I'll just quickly open up my macros. You can open it up by 2 ways, going /M, opens up your macros, or you can go down to the little game menu here and go into macros. Okay, so if we go, and let me just look at my counter shot here. So if you look here, you can see the stop casting, and we've targeted my focus and use the counter shot. So I'll just quickly bounce on over to my training dummy. Once again, guys, this training dummy is a PvP training dummy. If you watch my health here, as soon as you engage, your health goes up as if you're in a PvP situation. Okay, just in case you didn't know. But watch this. So I've got I'm going to use my stop attack. So as you can see, I'm casting my counter shot. Sorry, now casting my Cobra shot here and stopping attack, and then I used my kick. So that Stops the target, stops the cast. Okay. Anyway, so that's that. So if we go to my Roar of Sacrifice here, I don't have a pet out, that's why. Let me just get my little pet out. Okay. So you can see I've got cast on myself, which is my first one. Cast on party 1, which is my second one. And where is my third one? It will be in here, I think, somewhere. Ah, here they are. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So because I do either 2s or 3s, it works for either. So I cast on myself or party 1, which is your first party member. And party 2, obviously the second party member. Okay, so that's that one. So if you look here, look up my buffs up here. So I'm going to use my macro now. I'm not using my pet to target. I'm just running around, and then all of a sudden, Roar of Sacrifice. Okay. Now, the other one I spoke about is targeting yourself with a heal. So you can see here, target player means help. Help means it's a either a healing ability or something that does something good, a helpful ability. Harm means the opposite, obviously. So here you can see that I've got some conditions. Target equals me, and it's a helpful spell, and the spell name. So once again, if I go and use it right now, I haven't clicked my pet. I'm just, you know, in the middle of battle here, and watch the effect around my body right now. Ready? As you can see, he's off attacking. I'm off this. I'm getting that quick heal off on myself, and so on and so forth. So let's just run away from him. What else have we got here? Macros. Freezing trap here. Once again, you can see here, cast freezing trap. Now, if I hold a modifier, it'll cast a snake trap. But the important thing to note here is the stop attack. All right. So as you can see, I'm attacking Cobra Shot now. Stops the attack, quickly goes into my trap. Okay, say he's about to. We're going to switch to the healer right now. I'm in the middle of a Cobra Shot. I'll go, okay, quick, trap out. Move on, bang, 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 hit you, Mr. Light Pole. Damn, 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 damn. Okay, oh. And also my pet attack. So here's my main attack here. My Cobra Shot. So what I've got here is pet attack first. So you see he's not doing anything. Come back here. I hit the wrong thing. Right, so he's not doing anything, right? I'm attacking the target here. He's still not doing anything. But as soon as I hit Arcane Shot, bam, goes straight into fight. Okay? And you can see it'll set my focus as well. Now you can put a name here, you can put an NPC name here, you can put whatever you want. And lastly, if we're making a new macro, stop it. Stop fighting. Okay, say we want to make a new macro. Okay, click down here. Now, show tooltip, right? If you hover over here, click that if you want to get the show tooltip icon to show. Just show, just show. Just so you know. But anyway, that's the basics of the macros. Now, part 2 will be out and we'll go into more in-depth awesomeness. But other than that, guys, that's our first hit at making macros. I hope this helps you all out. If it does, let me know in the comment section, guys. Give me your thoughts. Ask me whatever you want, like Juan did, and I'll be more than happy to help you out with a video or whatever it is you may need. Anyone part of the Ravenclaw crew gets my full attention, and anyone that isn't a part just yet, jump on board, guys, because there is so much more to come. I don't want you guys to miss out. And yeah, if you like it, leave a like down at the bottom. Other than that, guys, I'm Ravenclaw. Take it easy.